We've daily driven Roman, our 2001 Toyota Camry, for 2 years and put about 30,000 miles on him. Today we're going to hop behind the driver's seat and I'm going to give you all an ownership review. How's it been daily driving an old Toyota for a couple of years, putting a bunch of miles on it, coming from an old European car, and generally give you all my thoughts, how much I've liked it, what have I not liked. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so daily driving an old Toyota for 2 years and put a lot of miles on it. I think at the beginning of the video I said almost 30,000 miles. I want to say I bought this car with like 105 on it, and now we're at 132 and change. So almost 30,000 miles. I think I've gotten a pretty good flavor as to what it's like driving a 4th gen Toyota Camry. Chassis code XV20 for all of those of you who want to get super nitty gritty. Let's start with how much money I spent on this car, or what does this car cost me? So I bought this car off of my mother a couple of years ago, I want to say August of 23, for $4,500, which honestly sounds like a lot for an old car, and it is, except these are kind of Toyota taxed because everyone knows how good of vehicles they are. So the dollar at a car, I don't even think $4,500 is that bad of a price, but you do have to pay out for a Toyota, which I'm happy to do. It's probably saved me money in so many other areas that you can't even quantify. In the 2 years I've had it, I've had to do some maintenance. When I first bought it, obviously I did oil change, I did engine flush, and I did transmission service. I took the pan off, replaced the filter. I ran about a gallon of Redline D4 ATF through this, or 3 quarts anyway. And then I changed the diff fluid also with Redline D4. I'm gonna say that was probably around 110,000 miles. The old transmission fluid did not look that bad. It was definitely old, but it wasn't original, so I felt comfortable doing that, and it was definitely the right call for this car. If you watched the last video we did with this car, the timing belt service, the previous owner, who allegedly did the timing belt, I think that he did do the timing belt, so I didn't really do anything when I bought this car. The coolant was new. A lot of the fluids had been changed, so I kind of just started driving the car. So for the following year, my maintenance schedules included, let me think about it, an oil change. After that, I did an oil change, and then I did an oil change. And, hold on, there was something else. Oh yeah, another oil change. Pretty much the first year of owning this car, all I did was oil changes. And for the most part, all things considered, I've basically only done oil changes this car. I've been keeping like a 3,000 mile oil change schedule in this car. When I first got it, it was a little bit carboned up. It was an old man car. The first owner had owned it for 20 years, then he passed away. And from my understanding, I don't actually have any paperwork to prove this, but allegedly this car was serviced at the dealer and kind of had everything done the right way, which I believe, given the general condition of everything. He definitely took good care of this car. He was 80-something years old when he passed away. At year 1, I had to do tires. I think I spent, it was a Black Friday deal. I want to say I spent somewhere in the ballpark of $600 on tires for this car with install. And I got these nice Continental all-season tires, which are allegedly rated for 80,000 miles. I don't know how true that is. I'll say the tread still looks really good, over 10,000 miles later. So, do with that what you will. Before, this car had Cooper tires, and I will say that the handling and general ride quality greatly improved for these Continentals over the Cooper tires. Nothing against Cooper tires, but they're cheap tires you put on a car you're selling. You don't really put Coopers on a car you actually want to drive around. If I had put the same tires back on this car, it would have been probably like $450. But those Coopers are only rated for like 20,000 miles instead of 80,000. So in the long run, you end up spending a lot more just shredding through tires. And because I knew I wanted to keep this car for a while, spending the extra money for the Continentals was worth it for me. So for keeping track of our total right now, we're at somewhere a little over $5,000. I don't really know how much the oil changes cost. I would just call them $40-50 a piece. I buy liquid moly gen for this car, and I buy the Toyota dealer oil filters, which, funny enough, the Toyota dealer oil filters are cheaper than all of the aftermarket ones. So for me, I'm like, well, great. I get to have the Toyota logo on the oil filter, and it costs less money. So it's a win-win all around. Other maintenance items. About the following year after doing tires in this car, I again did, let me think about it, an oil change, and many more oil changes. I did not really have to do a squat to this car until the timing belt broke. Then we did a ton. I'm not going to recap all of it. If you want to hear more about the timing belt job and you're new to the channel, I'll link that video up here somewhere. You can go check that out. The timing belt job all in cost us about $1,000. We did timing belt, we did a bunch of other stuff, oil pump, power steering pump, which is another thing this car needed because the power steering pump, the old one, would randomly lock up. And I'm happy to report that since replacing it with a nice Edelman unit, the power steering has been flawless. So our total now, I'm going to say probably, let's just call it $6,500. Nice, round, even number. You know, including all the oil changes and other little money I've probably spent along the way on this car that I'm not really accounting for. So $6,500 to drive a car for 2 years and 30,000 miles. Really not that bad if you ask me. If we want to go through the cost of ownership sort of analysis, if I sold this car now, I'd probably get like $4,000 for it. You would then say the cost of ownership was about $2,500 to drive this car for, you know, 30,000 miles, which is pretty good. Now, I don't plan on selling this car, but just to kind of give you an idea as to how cheap this car has actually been to run and, you know, drive on the road. In those couple of years, this car only stranded me the one time because of the timing belt. And honestly, I don't even really attest that to the car. I kind of knew that was an issue. I didn't know it was going to happen that soon, honestly. Ben had commented a couple months earlier that the timing belt sounded kind of noisy. And, well, you know, I guess he called it, which, on the side of the road, I was laughing at myself, like, oh my God, like, it's poetic. He literally said this would happen. So, there we go. That's what this car has cost me to run and drive over 2 years to be on the road. Now I'm going to give you all some of my general thoughts. You know, what has it been like driving an old Toyota over my, you know, older BMW E36? So, as you all may or may not know, I own and used to daily drive a 1998 BMW E36 M3 Sparky, our high mileage E36 M3. She now has like 270 something thousand miles on her. I'm gonna say 272, which is ridiculous. That car has almost 300,000 miles on it. Crazy to think about. But being that car and my entire ownership has had over 200,000 miles, that car came with a lot of hardships. We've talked about it in a lot of videos previously if you want to know more about that. But I would say the general overarching theme of this car is that I don't have to think about it. One commenter said it perfectly in another video. He called this my cheater car. And it's exactly what it is. It's my cheater car. Now, for most people, their cheater car is what they would call a car. You know, a car to go from point A to point B. Reliable transportation. Unfortunately for us car enthusiasts, we are afflicted with the ailment of needing a car to perform above the simple expectation of taking us from point A to point B, which is unfortunately something we're all afflicted with. This is the life we have chosen. So when it comes to cars, our life is generally a lot harder when picking daily drivers because we chase things that are more interesting. Now in this case, I did not. I didn't chase anything interesting. I had enough interesting already from my BMW. I just wanted a car that worked. And so the perfect car came into my life. I had always joked with my friends that if I ever bought a 90s or early 2000s Toyota, it would be in this color, like this exact color with this exact interior. And then it kind of just walked into my life, which is so funny. So coming from a BMW to this, an old BMW with a ton of miles at that, it was honestly a breath of fresh air. I no longer had to think about whether my car was going to start the next day or randomly misfire or do this, that, and the other. I didn't have to worry about, you know, the plastic trim and the door handles on the outside breaking if I so much as, you know, breathed on it, which is a real problem with the E36. Build quality of the plastic on that car is its known weakness. So that aspect of owning this car has been really nice. You know, I turn the key, I never have to think about, is this car going to start? It always does. Even on some days when, honestly, it really should not have started, or I wasn't even sure if it was going to start. It still did. So that part has been awesome. I love the way this car revs out. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, I've never had to worry about whether this car is going to start up, whether it's going to make it to my destination, and I've never worried about things breaking on this car because I've always had the security of knowing if things broke on this car, I could fix it. And that's generally the case. Parts in this car, for a lot of mechanical parts, are pretty affordable. And this car is very easy to work on. The engine bay is so sparse. You know, you have the classic larger car, small engine syndrome where you just get space on every side of the engine, which is awesome. And I actually think owning this car saved my love for the car hobby. Honestly, when I had my BMW and I was daily driving that, there were some days where I drove it across the state of Michigan running on like 4 of its 6 cylinders. There were some days where I was heat full blast on a summer day just to keep the temp needle down. And, you know, after having enough experiences like that, it kind of wears down on you, you know, trying to order parts because, oh shoot, my car's broken, I can't get to work. You know, it wears down on you, and I just started falling out of love with the car hobby because it was just draining. I had to think about it all the time, whether I wanted to or not. Getting this car allowed me to kind of enjoy that car at my own pace. Getting this car allowed me to not have to worry about living my life. My life was no longer dependent on the car hobby. I could have them be separate and have a good balance, which is something I think a lot of us car enthusiasts forget, is that, you know, you have to live your life too outside of the car hobby. In recent years, I've picked up a lot of hobbies outside of the car hobby, and I've started enjoying a lot of, you know, other things, which honestly I wasn't really able to do when I had the BMW because I couldn't afford it. Well, I could barely afford it, which is not affording it. And B, it sucked up all my time and energy because I couldn't afford it. I had to do everything myself. And that's not really a good way to live. I would not recommend it to anybody. You longer time viewers of the channel will know, when I first bought this car, I got it just the right time. I bought it right when the head gasket blew on RE36 M3. So what having this car allowed me to do was fix the BMW at my own pace. I spent the entire winter fixing the head gasket. I didn't have to pay a shop to, you know, get it done because I was in college and I needed a car. Nope. All I had to do, let it sit in my friend's dad's garage, which I'm so thankful he let me do that. I fixed it at my own pace, and then I drove this car around, and this car didn't need anything. Roman has always been a great car. And what I found was by having a car like this that didn't inherently need much and was pretty easy going, is that I then started to get the itch to then work on the BMW and go do car hobby things because it wasn't forced into my face all the time. People talk about work-life balance. What I needed and what this car gave me was car-life balance. And I didn't really understand that concept until I had this car and I kind of experienced firsthand by having the BMW and the way that I did why it's not a good idea to do that. Do I regret doing it? No. I was young, I was in high school, I was in college. I can comfortably say I've had that experience, I know what it's like. You know what, if you're a young person and you want to be a little irresponsible and you want to have that life, go do it for a year or two, and then you'll learn exactly why I am not doing that anymore. That said, just because this car is boring doesn't mean that you can't have some fun in it. That was the limit right there. What's cool about owning a car like this too is you can actually use the limit on the road. If I wanted to approach the limit on my BMW there, I would have been going dangerous speeds for the weather outside. Now that kind of leads us into our next point, and that is this being an old car. Now I do want to make a video talking about daily driving an old car, which we'll do separately from this video, but I'll kind of highlight a couple of the points. What I've discovered in the past couple of years daily driving this car is that I would say basically any non-car person, and most people should not daily drive old cars. There's a certain level of care and attentiveness that you need to have when daily driving an old car that you don't need to have when you're daily driving something newer. And when I say newer, I don't even mean like that much newer, like a 15-year-old car versus a 25-year-old car. Something happens when a car hits 20 years old where they just kind of start to fall apart, or they just kind of become delicate in a way that they weren't 5 years before, from my experience. Things like your door handles breaking, or, you know, your little interior plastic trim kind of just degrading. Because of those things, you just kind of have to have an extra level of care when it comes to having an old car, or, you know, paying attention to noises. Do these mean something? You know, my timing belt noise, Ben called it out a couple months before it failed. Had I been in a position to, I would have said, as soon as I heard that, I would have fixed it. You know, I noticed the noise too. I knew that something was wrong, and now I know better. But things like that, you just have to pay attention to the car. The car will talk to you. You know, the brake light, little stuff like that. Now, I know that doesn't mean anything, but for a non-car person, they'd see that and they'd be like, oh, I need to go to the dealership, right? Or they would ignore it, and if it was actually an issue, they wouldn't know any better, and eventually, you know, your brakes might not work. Now, I will say, out of all the cars this age, the 4th generation Toyota Camry is the most common one I see. I play a game with myself where every day I go out onto the road, I try to spot one other 4th gen Camry. And a lot of days, I would honestly say over half the days, I'm able to find one. There are a lot of these still on the road, which is really a testament to how high quality these were. You can smell that. Total sidebar, but it's impressive how easily this car lights up tires when it's wet outside. It only has 141 horsepower, but I don't know, it finds a way. It's hilarious every time. Daily driving this 2001 Toyota Camry has changed my view on cars and my perspective on the car hobby overwhelmingly for the better. I have a much better relationship with this hobby now than I did when I was daily driving the BMW. You know, the car hobby felt like not always like a chore, but it was like super high highs and super low lows. But this car has kind of allowed me the space to enjoy it in a really healthy way. This car has truly been one of the best things that kind of walked into my life. It's just been a good car. And you know, at this point in my life where I was, and especially now, you know, having transportation that you can't rely on or that isn't affordable is a really hard thing in the United States because you need cars for everything. By having this, I've added a level of security to my life in that I don't have to think about it. It's not something I worry about. I just know that this car will be there. If everything in my life went wrong, hopefully it doesn't, but if everything in my life went wrong, I know that this car will still be there and I'll have a car that I can drive around. And there's a lot of security there in that I did not have before when I daily drove my E36 M3. One of the benefits of this car being old is everything is super easy to fix on it. And I know how to work on it. You get newer cars, they have all the electronics, everything's, you know, buried, and it's a lot harder to kind of, you know, do things. This car, compared to even like a 2010 Camry, this car's a dinosaur. This car's from 2001, but the design started with the 3rd gen Camry back in like the early 90s, which was a design that came out of the 80s. But we're gonna save the topic of daily driving an old car for another video. If you all enjoyed this little rant, go ahead and hit that like button. Comment down below. What are you guys daily driving? Are you daily driving old nuggets like this? Do you have something newer? Something more interesting? I want to hear about your guys' daily drivers in the comments down below. Actually, as I know from the last videos we made with these cars, a lot of you drive these or a newer Camry, which is pretty awesome. If this is your first video, you should totally subscribe. We have a lot of fun with cars and car stuff. But take care, everybody, and we will see you in the next video. Feels like I've been doing